Today, friends, we're going to be taking a look at how to make these amazing handmade button cards. I'm going to show you the process from beginning to end for how I do it, and I hope that you will enjoy this video. Let's jump in and see what the old April is talking about. Greetings, welcome back to PinkOddBird. Today, we're going to be trying to make some button cards. Kind of unconventional or a little bit different than just like traditional button cards that you normally see. I took a little spin on my little ephemeralist that I got from my friend Priscilla, and it landed on button cards. So we're gonna see what we can do with that. We're gonna wade through this together in mostly real time. So let's go ahead and get started. So as you know, I like to use or reuse or repurpose as many items as I can. So I think I'm going to use this little oatmeal box. I'm just going to roughly cut it because I'm going to probably use the longer panel. I was getting ready to take it out to the recycle and I was like, wait a tick. So I'm just going to cut the longer panels out on these. Alright, so I just want to make sure that these are cut nice and even and straight, because I would like my cards to be straight in this case. Alright, so I've got these two pieces cut down. Actually, I think I'm going to cut these in half even more so. See how long they are. They're about 7.5 inches. So I'll cut them to maybe like 3 3/4 each. So I'll have 4 cards out of this. 3 3/4. Not too shabby. A little bit different in size, but that's okay. All right, so these are my 4. The first thing to do, what to do. Okay, I think we'll start with the buttons first. I'm going to do something a little bit different. Instead of using, well, I was talking to Priscilla, and Priscilla was like, you should try just collaging on your buttons, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not sure. But Priscilla also suggested some circular digitals like this to me. And so I did some digging and I found these and I thought that they would fit nicely with my theme. And there's 3 different sizes here. So I printed out all 3 of these sizes, and I do have my 1-inch punch because I do know that I want my circles to ultimately be 1 inch. So even if I take a punch out of one of these, it's a little bit bigger. I think it's kind of cool if the image kind of like fades off the punch. So that's what I'm going to be using. If you don't want to have like if you don't have a circular digital like this, you could use anything like this piece of wallpaper here. You could find a piece on the wallpaper and just, you know, take a punch out of that. You can use digital paper like this, digital printable paper like this, and take your punch out of there. Just find a place. Scrapbook paper, book page. It could really be anything that you want. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing, but this is what I'm using. So to get started, I'm going to take some of those pieces that I just cut off of the oatmeal box, and instead of using like actual buttons, we're going to make our own buttons. If my punch is going to be strong enough to punch out of this. If it's not, I might have trouble here. Let's see. I don't know if I have another. I might have another 1-inch punch. Maybe let me just try it on another segment. I guess I don't have to be perfect, but I don't know. We're going to be layering these, so they kind of do have to be. Oh, there we go. That's better. I think it was because of where I punched at. There was some glue there. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to punch out a few circles here. And I'm using this like chipboard material because it's a little bit more sturdy. For the buttons. Don't know how many I'm going to need exactly just yet, so I'm just going to continue punching these out and I'll be back when I have a few. All right, friends. So what I have here is 3. I used 3 because I think that's a nice, even like sturdy amount that's not too bulky, because like I told you guys in my last video, which by the way, thank you guys so much for watching my last video and all the kind comments that you guys left there. I'm so happy that you guys enjoyed that one. So here we are again making another video. But yeah, so I think that I need to keep it kind of like, because I don't need the book getting too bulky. So I'm going to use 3. I think that's a nice amount, and they get really sturdy. So the next thing that I think we're going to do is just start taking these and gluing them together. Now I do want to make sure that I glue all the way to like the edge, but try not to drench it in glue, but just do make sure that there is like an ample amount of glue. The alternative would be is you could use some kind of like double-sided tape if you wanted to. That's going to reduce like any kind of warping, but I think if you use a glue that's too watery or too much glue, it's going to warp you down. It's going to warp you down, and then you're going to be one sad little crafter. So I guess maybe the solution to that, and maybe even you could preemptively kind of like combat that by drying these under something heavy so that they immediately just dry flat. Not at this stage, because you do still have to add your image to the top, but just a thought, you know, we're thinking about this and learning it as we go. All right, so I'm gonna let this dry. So that's one button so far, but we're not done. It's going to be a bunch of little chipboard coins. All right, so let's go on to the next. I probably won't film this whole thing because I think you guys are going to get the gist, and I've got quite a few to get through. So I'm going to do some TV magic, and I'll catch you guys on the flip. Oh, hello. I just wanted to stop in and let you guys know that I'm still gluing chipboard together. We've got a little stack of coins, but I'm only about halfway done. So just letting you know, I'm still here. Are you? I hope so. I've been working on the rail. Okay. Bye. All right, we have finally made it to the last of these. Hopefully that might have been the most tedious part. Just making sure that you have the right amount of glue and making sure that you really pinch those edges so that they stay together. Now, I have all mine done here. But I think what I'm going to do is just divide them in half. And I'm going to clamp them together with these spic clips. And I'm just going to try and pop that in the middle, but as time goes on a little bit, I'm going to try and slide it over to this side and then over to the opposite side so that all sides get kind of clamped down. Or if you've got more, you can do like this all at once. That's just going to really ensure that they stay like how they're supposed to and dry flat and really stick together. Actually, maybe these clamps might be big enough that I don't have to actually divide them in half. Let's see. Cool. Okay, so we'll just do it like that. All right, perfect. So I guess if your clamps are smaller, you don't want to stress your clamps out and risk all of this flying everywhere, but these are bigger, so cool. I'm gonna let these sit off to the side and dry. Perfect. All right, so I have some of this just paper that I have. If you don't have a paper like this, you could also use like a lighter weight paper bag. I'm gonna wet this a little. I want to give it some more like wrinkles and texture. And I'm just doing the wetting because I don't like, it softens the fibers in the papers a bit, so it makes it a little bit more pliable. So I'm not sure. It depends on how wrinkly you want it. Let's just, I don't want to like totally, like I kind of like how that is so far. Like that's pretty good. So actually, I might do just a little bit more on it. Like the tighter you squeeze it, the more like wrinkle texture. Or if you keep wrinkling it, open it, and then fold it, you know, wrinkle it a different way, you're going to get different, you know, wrinkle consistencies. So this is great. This is starting to feel really nice. So I like that. And if you can see how the wrinkle pattern is in here, I like that a lot. Perfect. So next, if you'll remember, we have our little cards here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our trusty little collage medium, and I want to make sure that I have enough. Yes, I do. And we're just going to put the paper down. Oop. Put the paper down onto these little chipboard cards that we made. So I'm just going to apply the medium over the card. Place it down. All right. Just like that. And I'm going to try and work a little bit fast here because I'm trying to do all of these at once. And I like to add a little glue, as you guys, a little water, as you know, because I like the way that it thins out the glue a bit and helps it spread a little bit further. It makes your product last a little longer. All right, so there's that. And we've got you. Perfect. I'm going to do this one over here. All right, now that I've gotten those down, I'm going to flip this over and kind of like draw it in a little bit so that it has a little bit more texture. Do I have one here? No. Just kind of like wrinkle it up a little bit more to add some extra texture to it. If you missed any spots, just go ahead and knock those down. So you can see kind of what I'm doing here. It's pretty cool texture. Nice, nice. And now, before I do my medium, I kind of want to cut these out a little bit so that I can make sure that I see what I'm doing here. I don't want to get this glue all over my scissors. Just gonna carefully tear it. I guess if I get some of the paper off, I'll just collage a little bit more down onto it because I've got excess. So like here, I will have to add a little bit more. That's fine. It's just gonna keep adding to the texture that I'm trying to create. Not a problem. I guess you could have done this step prior also, but this is just how I create, and you guys are just creating along with me, so we get what we get right now. You guys are able to watch what I'm doing and make your own choices differently if you see fit. So now I'm going to crinkle them up a little bit more. Add some texture, and you see here I need to add a little bit, so take a little of the glue. and just pop a little piece on there. Not a big deal. Perfect. So I'm gonna scooch or rooch this one aside, but this is kind of how it looks so far. Get this one. This one's looking fine. Starting to dry up. That's why you got to work a little fast. If you're just doing one at a time, you're probably going to have a little bit more leeway than I do, but I'm doing multiples for efficiency. It's great. Great, great, great. I love it. Okay, and then here I need to add a little bit. Groovy. And the last one, we do need to add a little bit here as well. Up at the top. Okay, great. Now, I am going to go ahead and add a little bit more glue to the top to seal these down. Actually, wait, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Get the glue, get them glued down. I just go as I go. I just go as I go. And we get what we get. It's kind of the fun part about not having a complete plan, just having an idea and trying it, because you can learn as you go. And empty. Great. Last two. Dooby-dooby-doo. Oh, I missed a spot here. Oh no, I just didn't add enough glue. I didn't add enough glue. Let's get you down first. Okay, and the last one. I love it. So good. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and let these dry down and we'll be back. All right, so we have our cards off to the side drying, and remember these little ditties? Well, let's come back to this. So, I'm gonna make sure I didn't glue them all together. Let's make sure. All right, we got 2. How many am I supposed to have? 12. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, cool. We are not to be devastated. All right, so I have my little digitals, like I mentioned to you previously, and I have my 1-inch punch. By the way, you guys, I know the word on the street is if you punch your punches with aluminum foil, it'll resharpen them. Just a little word to the wise. All right, so like I said, let's first start with the ones that are actually like the 1-inch, which I think are these. Let's see if these are truly a 1-inch. I don't want them I want the image to be fully covered. So if this is too small, we're going to go to the next size up, and I'm okay with punching some of the image off. That's fine with me. But let's test it first and see if these are going to be usable for me for this project. Okay. All right, so it looks like they are 1 inch. And yeah, all right. Okay, cool. So they will work. So I'm going to go ahead and pick some images out of these and set them to the side. 12 of them. Just for funsy ones. Actually, you know what? These are probably too big. Not too big. I guess it depends on which. I'm not going to use those for now, though. I'm going to stick to these. And I really don't mind which ones. How many do I need? 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I think I just cut out 12, but I already have 1 punched out, but that's okay. All right, now I'm going to punch these out and set them aside. Okay, now that we've got these all cut out, I'm going to take I'm going to set these little images aside. I'm going to take my awl, like so, and I'm going to do this off camera, but I'm just going to make 2 holes in each of these little buttons, like a true button would have. So I'm going to do that off camera. Make sure when you do this, you do it very safely, whatever that looks like for you, because these are very small and this is very sharp. All right, be careful. All right, buttons, get your chipboard buttons. All right, so we've got little holes punched in. I didn't measure these out, but if you want to get hoity-toity, by all means, measure it out. But I just did these by eye. Some of them I did with 2, and then a couple of them I did with 4. And yeah, so these are ready to go. Now, the next step, I'm just going to use glue, I think. But you could use your collage if you want to, but I'm gonna just peep the scene with glue. And once again, I'm going to make sure that I get all the way to that edge. And this is especially important because you want to make sure that your image is going to stay down. Okay? You don't want your button image lifting. And if you care about the relativity of where the holes are, you'll just want to take note of that. So I'm going to go ahead and punch through to where my holes are right now while the glue is still wet. Perfect. Oh my gosh. So cute. Okay, we're not done with them yet though. Okay, so I'm gonna keep on gluing and I will see you back when I'm done doing this. Alrighty, friends, we've made it to the last button. Super duper cute. Let me put my awl away. Okay, so now that these are done, and by the way, I did not invent this method. This is just an idea that I had in my brain, and this is just how I'm executing it. So I didn't look up any videos or anything, but I'm pretty sure there might be other videos out there if you guys want to take a look and maybe see what other people are doing and combine things or learn or not. It's up to you, but this is just the way that I'm doing it, just out of my brain. So here's what I have. Now, before I go on, you might think, oh, cool, we're done. No, we're not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brown paint. You can use whatever color you want, depending on whatever theme that you're doing, if you're going to try and make these later. And I'm just going to use my finger just because that's what I want to do for this. And just mosey around the perimeter and just seal off that chipboard. Okay? All right. Cool. Nice, nice, nice. You can probably grab some tweezers if you want. Probably the most illogical thing to do. Oh, I like that because it makes it look like rustic tree trunks or something. And I'm just going to cover these edges. I love how this is coming out. So good. And I was like, when I pulled the or when my fate landed on button cards, I was like, I'm not sure if this is gonna fit the theme, but I think the way that we're gonna end up doing these, you guys, it's gonna fit the theme. And all it takes is sometimes for you to just think outside the box a little bit sometimes. And in this case, I also got a little bit of help from my friend Priscilla with the idea about the buttons, and then I just took it from there. And what we get in the end will be what we get. All right. So I'm going to finish doing this. I don't want to make you guys sit here and watch this whole thing because this is a lot of redundancy. So I'm going to finish this up and I will be back with you once I have these all covered and we're ready to move on to the next step. All right, so I'm going to slide these kind of out of the way a bit so that they can finish drying up. And we're going to go back to our cards for a bit. I'm going to check them out right now and let's see if they're dry. Okay, so a couple little areas on them still a little wet, but they're dry enough for now. So I'm going to just start by cutting the excess off of these. Okay, now that we have those all cut out, for the sake of sanity, I'm only going to save like the bigger pieces like these 4, and the rest we're going to throw away. Perfect. All right, so here's the cards. Now I've grabbed a little bit of black paint. I'm going to dab some of that down and also get it all over my fingers simultaneously. Because, I mean, are you really crafting if you're not making a mess? Are you? I don't know. I don't know. Awfully suspect, you neat crafters. I should probably move my buttons out of the way before I have major regrets. Okay. Water those down. Oh, I need my brush. And I've got some water in my brush, not too much. But I'm going to start with the brown and just get it on here with a little bit of the black. And dab it down a little. I'm just trying to get a little bit of a grungy look. Like so. Maybe pop a little bit more black along some of these ridges. Perfect. And I'm going to do the same here. And tap some black in there. Give it a spritz. Let it wick out a little bit. Tap some of the excess, and then I'm going to grab some black and darken up some of the ridges just like I did on the previous one. I hope you can see how this is looking. So this is how it is before, and this is how it is after. It's subtle, but it's there. You know it's there. And I think that's one of the cool things about, you know, if I was showing the flip through of the journal and I got to these button cards that I made, like I could explain all of this to you, what I did or not. And either way, it would probably not be impressionable as much. You might be like, oh, that's pretty, or that looks cool. But to see a video like this and see all of the components and all the little minutia detail that goes into each element, and we're not even done yet, it kind of is a whole world of difference with that, right? So I guess that's why some of you guys like to watch these like process videos, because, you know, you can see the thoughts and the processes behind it, and what all is going into it. Maybe also if you don't make journals, you can see, like, you know, I've been working on these already over an hour. I don't know how long the video is because I've edited some of it out, but it's been almost an hour and a half working on these so far. You know, so that's why, you know, these, yeah, I feel like if we actually truly charged for a journal by the hour, it would be like astronomical. So, you know, just some little tidbits here, just dropping a little knowledge here. All right, let's keep going. Just kind of blend these together at the end here. And let's wick it down. Wiki. You can probably use anything else. Like I'm going to show you in a second here what we're going to do next, but I wanted to start the backdrop with paint. You could probably also maybe use watercolor, or perhaps like distress inks or stains, maybe alcohol inks. Like, you can just get creative. I have a video where I've used so many mediums on just some little cards that I made, and you guys really, really love that video so much. So thank you for that. So I'm going to go in with some of my magicals, and I'm going to take a little bit of the brown kind of one and a little bit of the black kind of one. This one's Steampunk Sepia, and this one's Steel Shimmer. And I'm just going to very, hopefully, easily, breezily. I should do this a different way. Hold on, because I'm gonna while out in a second here. I'm gonna just take my bone folder here and just take some off like this, so I don't end up pouring, and just drop some on each of these cards. And this Magicals goes a super long way. You don't need a whole bunch. I've been using these for a couple years now. All right, so we got some of that on there. More than a couple years, I want to say. I don't know. It's been a while. It's been a while, okay? They go a long way. It's the old adage of a little dab will do ya. And that's true when you're talking about magicals. Okay, so just dripping some here and there very randomly, and I'm putting them on in top of the cards here randomly, and then I'm gonna show you the next step. Next, just wet them down a little. Don't wet your buttons like I am, the ones that are supposed to be drying. And just to get some interest, I'm gonna kind of crisscross a little with them and let some of the product spread around a bit, grunge it up. All right. I'm going to dab off excess liquid, and I'm going to give these a sec to dry, and I'll see you guys in a few. All right, now that our cards are back drying, I'm going to come back over to the buttons. I really hope I don't run out of space trying to film this video, because this is actually a pretty long, significant video, so I appreciate you guys for being here. All right, so oh my gosh, you guys, they look so cute already. They are adorable. Now, of course, I want to go in with some of my distress ink and just actually kind of get a little bit more distressing over the tops of them. It just finishes it out a little bit more for me, and you can use whatever color distress ink you want. I'm using Vintage Photo. It's going to give it a nice brown, dingy tone. I love for these, for the vibe of these. So good. They are turning out amazing. I hope you guys are going to give these a try. If you do, let me know. You can see really attainable to make. If you don't want to use the digital, like I said, you can use any image. You can use book page even. You can print on book page. If you can doodle on book page, like it doesn't have to be exactly the way that I'm doing it. Like, just get creative, you know? Like, that's kind of what I came into this with. I'm like, I'm just gonna do what I do and see what we get. Sometimes that's the best way. Usually for me, that is the best way. If you try to be too structured, you limit yourself. And I don't like that. Oh my gosh, you guys. The acrylic paint that I use, it dries so fast too, so that's really nice that you're able to kind of swing back and forth between the different components of this project. Something's drying over here, you work on this. Something's drying over there, you work on that. All right. Last one. And they look so good already. All right, I'm going to go find my next supply and I'll be right back. All right, so I'm gonna try this. I don't know if this is gonna work because these offcuts of thread that I have from some other tags that I was sewing, I saved these just in case, because you never know what you might use it for. And I have a little needle here that has an eye on it. I'm going to try and see if these are long enough to kind of like thread through a couple of times, because I'm not going to actually attach these to my cards because I want them to be, well, I guess I could, but I'm not going to. I want them to be writable on the back. So, and I'm not sure exactly at this point what that's going to look like for this project, but we'll see, I guess. So I am going to show you what I'm trying to talk about here. I don't think I'm going to be able to show you every one that I do because this is going to take a decade, maybe. You don't have to do this method, and I don't even know if I'm going to do this method. I don't think these threads are long enough to be significant enough to even like thread through a couple times. I just don't think that they're long enough. The alternative would be you could also use like a any other kind of trim or super thin ribbon or baker's twine, anything like that. So, but I'm just gonna see. I'm gonna give it a chance. It might not be. Yeah, see, it's already. No. Okay, well, it looks like that's the extent. So you see what I'm saying? It's not too significant. You can tell that the thread is there, but I'm not sure if it's worth it. So plan B, I'm gonna see what other, like I have these strings like this, but that's too thick. I'm gonna see what else I have. Maybe I do have some baker's twine that I can use, but the other thing about it is I don't want to really cover up too much of the image, and the thicker that the cord is or whatever you use here, it's going to start obstructing the image. So I do like the idea of this thin, but I might just have to take it off the spool instead of trying to use the offcuts. I'll save this for something else. Okay, so I'm gonna switch to a bigger needle. And also I'm just gonna take it straight from the spool. That way I can kind of manage like how, like I can make the threads as thick. Hopefully this needle isn't too big actually too. This is the one that I usually bind my books with. But hopefully this will allow me to kind of determine like how thick I want the, oh cool, okay, great. I want these to be as far as how the threading looks. So this is gonna be a cool little test. I think it's gonna work. I do like the subtlety of how thin it is. So that's great. Perfect. Yeah, it works. Okay, and I already think that's good. So what I'll do is give it a snipperino. And I guess I also have to cut it here. You can tie your knot on the back of them or on the front. It's up to you. It doesn't matter. It just depends on the vibe that you want. I'm not sure. I might do mine all the same or mix them or what, but first of all, I need to try and get these in a knot. Step one. Okay, there's one. And two. Great. So I'm gonna cut the excess. I'm just gonna leave a little bit because I want the threads to be glued down also when I glue the buttons down. So just like that. Just a little extra reinforcement when I glue them down. See, always you have to be thinking ahead when you can. Sometimes you don't have that foresight. But look how cute that is. I really hope it shows. Look how cute it is. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing to the rest and I'll be back. Okay, we're back with the next segment. I have my buttons stitched like how I mentioned, and I left like one on each set just unstitched just to add a little differential there. So all of those are ready to go. I have them divided up how I want them to go on each card. So the cards are also ready to begin working with again. So the first thing that I think I'm gonna do is I have some gold, like gold leafing stuff. And since the theme is like dark academia with a little bit of like twist of fairy, I thought that the gold gilding would add like a nice touch of like the fairy magical aspect. Like even when you look at both of these paper pads, they have like gold foiling in them. Like this paper has like a lot of like the gold foiling aspects, and so does the dark academia one. I don't want to reach for it right now, but you guys get the idea. But I think that the gold aspect ties into each theme respectively. So I'm just gonna do like some random, because I don't really know like where what's gonna go, but I'm just putting glue down randomly. And I'm going to take some of this, pop it down, and let the let the odds land where they may. All right, cool. I'm gonna let that dry off a little bit and then I'll take the excess off. So I'm gonna just do a little bit more over here. Maybe some here and here. Really just random placement. Make it a little bit more organic and such. Okay. Awesome. And I should probably clean my hands. All right, couple more to go. And last one. So I'm going to let these dry. Well, they're not going to take that long to dry, but just want to make sure that when I clean them off, they don't take too much of the excess off. All right, so here we go, here we go. And I'm just lightly kind of brushing over it. So that's what we've got on this one. Very nice, very nice. Okay. Still a little wet there. Wow, that was a real domino effect. And here. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. Let's do this one. Perfecto. Still a little bit wet. Okay. Great. Oh no. Did my things get mixed up? No. Hold on. I gotta fix my buttons. Okay, so I've gone ahead and pulled out a couple of elements that I am going to want to use, like just some die cuts, and then we have our buttons, and then just like some little like label type stuff. So I'm going to keep these here, but before we move further, I'm going to do a couple of things, and I don't want to add like too much on the background because I do want the buttons to like ultimately be the star. But I am going to just add like a couple little elements, like some book page. So let's go ahead and do that first. Just a very tiny bit. Like I'm talking like a tiny bit. Just a little something, and I'm gonna distress it because I want it to blend in. And also, I'm not sure if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna press down on these a little bit with my distress ink. I'm not sure if that's gonna work, but I kind of wanted to dull it down just a tinge. But okay, so distress this, and then I'm gonna add glue and stick it down. And again, I'm just doing like a very minuscule take here on the collage element, just like so. Very simple. And the next thing that I want to do is we're gonna need to back these. So I think I'm gonna just try and find, I think I should have a piece of coffee stained paper somewhere around here. You would think that I might actually work with paper every now and then, like occasionally, like sometimes, like maybe. Will I find it? No. Give me a second. Okay, I did find some scrap pieces, so let's see if these will work. Work out. Okay, I'm gonna just put a little glue because I am gonna stitch around these. So I'm just gonna use my glue stick to hold it in place. And the old trusty dusty. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to stitch around this and I'll be right back. All right, so I got it stitched and I'm going to cut this excess off. And you already know, I'm going to do a little bit of distress ink on the back and the edge. And I want to use some black soot on the front. Oh yes, oh goodness. Oh my gosh, you guys. It's tying all together. Oh my gosh, that looks so good. Okay, so there's that. And next, we're going to, so we've got the back on, this is our front. I'm gonna take, I need to go back to my brown distress. I wanna distress this little flower. So it blends in a little bit more. And I'm gonna glue this down first. It's the biggest element. And I'm just gonna do this one in real time with you guys, and then I'll do the rest either, depending on how long this video is, I'll either do them off camera or sped up, just for the sake of time here, because I know this video is probably pretty long. So if you're still here, I appreciate you so much. I hope that you are finding value in this video, and that you might actually give these a try, perhaps even. Okay, I'm gonna burnish it down. We're 2.5 hours in on these. Okay. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And then I'm gonna take this little piece here, distress. I'm gonna pop it right here. Okay. And star of the show, button placement for this card will be as such. And I think I'm just gonna glue these down. I can use my regular glue for this. And I want to make sure I get that thread, because remember I said I want to make sure that thread stays down. So we've got number 1, number 2, and finally number 3. So I would say on a scale of 1 to super easy, this is easy, but it's on a scale of 1 to 10 on labor intensive, it's probably a 6 or 7, because there are a lot of like little steps to do for these. But easy, but just labor intensive. So button card and journaling space. All right, so I'm going to do the same for the last 3 cards, and I will be back. Okay, friends, I'm back and finally done. We have 4 cards, and we're at 3 hours and 1 minute for this project. So just trying to keep you guys abreast of that, because, you know, so that way you can kind of get an idea of what you're in for. And I don't really classify myself as a slower crafter by any means. Not that there's anything wrong with that at all. There's no like rules on the pace that you go, but I feel like I've been going pretty steady and moderately in 3 hours. All right, but let's see what we've got here, guys. So I did the rest of these offline because it was just going to be too long of a video, and I really just replicated what I did on the first card 3 more times and just figured out the placement. So here is card number 1, or well, we'll just call it number 1. And I really like how these turned out. You've got journaling space on the back, and I like that these are still pretty flat, but they are dimensional still. And I did it like this because you know how button cards are always like missing some buttons. So, I mean, not always, but traditionally how I see them, but I do have some that are full packs. But so that's number 1. Number 2. Number 3. And number 4. Well, this was technically, I think, the one that we did together. No, it was this one, I think. But this is the last one. No, this is the last one I just did. Okay, so friends, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I hope that you were able to make it all the way through. I'm not sure how long it's going to be, but I appreciate you guys for hanging in there with me. Let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this video, if you plan to give these a try, if you've already done some rendition of button cards. You guys know I love to chit chat with you in the comments, and I try and reply to everyone as soon as I can. And ultimately, I just really enjoy reading and appreciate every one of your comments so very much. So thank you for that. But I don't know. I guess we'll be back to make something else at some point sometime soon here, but this is what we have for today. Button cards, handmade button cards from scratch. I know you guys are probably like, April, you could have saved yourself an hour and a half if you would have used real buttons, but where's the fun in that? All right, you guys, so I think that is gonna wrap it up for me for now. Be sure to stay tuned, because you never know what direction this odd flock of ours is heading into. And until next time, toodaloo.